So Skype is good, but Google Hangout is better. So he is on. We're going to start. We're officially started. We're officially broadcasting. What I'd love for you guys to do, if you are watching live, is to make sure that you are hitting the Facebook, likes, tweeting it out. I personally am giving you a digital book of Laws of Wrath, so you can read with me and Chansey. And you can win that by putting pound Laws of Wrath into your stream, because that's where we're going to pick the contest winners. So participate, be a part of it. If you are in the Facebook group, you may need to, refresh your page. That could be a challenge. We've got the page live and going on Instant Star Maker, but if you need to refresh that page because you've been on there and hanging on there, then please go and do that. So I am taking all questions in our Facebook group, and all of you guys that are not online with me, I'm going to introduce everybody down here that is online with us. But if you're not online with us, go to Instant Star Maker Facebook group. Instant Star Maker Facebook group. Instant Star Maker Facebook group. And ask to be let in, and that's where the questions are. And you can mingle with everybody else and have all your questions answered. Alrighty, let's see. I think I've kind of taken care of a lot of things. I'm Dr. Wright. I am the leader of the Facebook Instant Star Maker group. I'm also the host of the Right Place television show. And this hangout is a little different from the other hangouts only because we're not so much doing a life lesson. We're just hanging out with Eriq La Salle, and we're talking about his new book, Laws of Wrath. Now, that's my personal summer fun book choice for the summer. So I'm telling everybody to read it with me. Let's talk about it. Let's have some fun when we're going over it. Otherwise, I will just read business books all summer and I'll never have anything fun. So this is my fun book. It is scary. It is adult stuff. So if you're under 18, your mommy should give you permission to be here. Okay. So here are the rules. We can talk to Eriq about all things book, but no spoilers. So, if you're going to do a spoiler, I'm going to cut you off. You can't do a spoiler. We've got to just keep it, because the book just came out. People don't even know about it. And I'm enjoying it. His characters are deep. His characters are well thought out. And I reached out to him for his last book because I was really impressed at how well he wrote women. There's a whole controversy right now online talking about how women characters are really not strong, really kind of fake, and he does a really good job, and I really appreciate that. So, Eriq, thank you for coming online. If you don't know who Eriq is, he is an actor. He is a director. He is a writer of both film and books, and he is here with us. I'm going to give a quick intro. Everybody else on the call, give a shout out so Eriq knows who you are, and say hello.
Hey guys.
I was trying to point.
Yeah, point. So Chansey, just give a quick hi.
Hi, Eriq. How are you?
Hey Chansey, how you doing?
Doing good. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And my partner, the career engineer, Francina Harris.
Hi, Eriq. Nice to see you here. Looking forward to hearing more about your book. What's up?
Hey, how are you? Good.
And Jose Guzman. He is here hanging out with us.
Hi, Eriq. How are you doing?
Hey, Jose, how are you, man?
Yeah, good.
All right, I'm going to start off the first question. I like the characters Fee and Quincy. Who do you feel is the better cop?
Who's the better cop? No, they. You know what? They complement each other. And I wanted to have partners that were very opposite, that came from very different backgrounds. And for those that don't know, Quincy's background is he is Italian, Irish American. Fee is African American. Quincy grew up in a very traditional Catholic environment. Fee's father is a gangster. and was a notorious gangster in Harlem and was basically considered to be the Black Godfather. And Fee was a former NFL player. He was a star wide receiver. So he comes to the force with a lot of notoriety. He's already a star. But the great thing about both of them is they become stars as cops because they're the best closers in New York. And so they have a bit of a celebrity status. Fee has a triple celebrity status. Fee has a celebrity status because his father is so notorious. And then he was also a famous football player. And he's also an amazing cop who has closed some high-profile cases. Quincy is, his notoriety comes from being the star cop. So they come from very different backgrounds. So I don't, they complement each other. I definitely don't see one being better than the other. They have this great thing where they sort of bounce ideas off of each other, and they're very, they'll shoot down a theory. So they really work well together. So that's how I see it.
Okay, good. Because I look at how they're functioning, and I think about the last book, and it does seem like where one is weak, the other one is strong.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're able to be a team. All right, next up, who's got some more questions? This is a juicy book, you guys. If you haven't gotten it, you can go on Amazon. It's Laws of Wrath. Pick it up. It's a fun read. There's digital copies and there's physical copies. So if you're old-fashioned and you want a book, awesome. But, I travel, so all my books got to be in my Kindle.
I'd like to pose a question if I can.
Okay.
Early on. Actually, again, it's a pleasure meeting you here. Of course, I've seen you in front of the camera, and I know you've done some things behind the camera. So what was it that led to this transition, if you will, to go ahead and kind of explore this literary side of you? As the career engineer, I'm always intrigued by what moves people to their passion on Mondays and beyond. So what was the spark, or what was the transitional event that got you now sharing your great writing, your ideas on paper for us to read?
I just think it's an extension of storytelling. And so, my career has really been about being a storyteller. As an actor, you're a storyteller. From the time I was a little kid, I'm trying to tell stories, whether they were to myself or to other people. So this is basically just a sort of natural matriculation. It's just, I just went, you just keep trying to come up with different ways of telling stories. And surprisingly, I feel that novel writing is actually more of my niche, even more so than screenplay writing. It's really interesting. But I think I've really found my groove and my rhythm with these books and in this particular genre. So it's just been, again, just wanting to tell different stories and explore different things and challenge myself, and that's what led me to that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Wow.
So,
awesome.
You're moving into, the genres, because people would say, well, what's Eriq doing now? We haven't seen him in a film in a while. And I, tell them, well, he's mostly been behind the camera. If your book goes to a film, do you want to be the person that is working behind the camera on it, or do you feel like you are okay with turning it over to somebody else to?
No, I would never turn this over. This is, this is my baby, and this project, this franchise is my baby, and it was also conceived that way. This is that's the end game. So I'm only at phase 1 of this, which is creating a literary franchise that then turns into a cinematic franchise. So I think it's important to stay with this because a lot of times you hear, oh, the book was so much better than the movie, because you have different people interpreting. But here you have the same person that envisioned and created the entire thing, seeing it all the way through. And I think it protects the integrity of the storytelling. No one knows these characters better than me. No one knows those stories better than me. So who better than me than to do it? And I'm qualified, because I've been directing since 1996. So it's not like, oh, this is going to be my debut. So I've just seen too many too many hacks mess up good projects, and it would break my heart to even think about turning over something. So it's all a package deal. It's all me.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm excited for that. I know a lot of people, always talk about coming to America, but my favorite character that you've ever played has been in Crazy as Hell. And when I saw
Ah,
that, I think I realized, you know what, Eric is a really good actor because
yeah,
creepy,
that
but
was a lot. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
That was
was
a lot of fun.
that was worth it. So I got, when I saw you were writing this kind of book, I was like, okay, I can see the potential for that because of what you brought to that film. If you guys have not seen Crazy as Hell, it is totally
Never
worth
saw it.
it. And check it out.
Really?
His performance is off the chain. It's not anything you've ever seen before, and it's not anything you've ever seen before from him. So, we all watched him on Coming to America. We all watched him on ER, and we were all happy about that. But Crazy as Hell is a very interesting piece for him. Okay, anybody else? I don't want to hog up everything. I just want to make sure everybody's having their questions. Do you have any questions from the Facebook group, Chansey?
Yes.
I think she's got it on mute. Go ahead.
I actually have a question for Eric because I'm a huge fan and I'm so excited because Laws of Depravity has a sister and a brother now, so it's looking good in the Kindle. Uh, Eric, one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you was, can you talk a little bit about um, how you were able to come up with the spiritual tone that's set in these books?
Well, we started with Laws of Depravity, which is very heavy in the sort of spiritual base of the storytelling, because the entire project came about when I found out that when I read an article that explained how all of Jesus's disciples were brutally murdered, and I didn't know that at the time, and then I realized a lot of people didn't know. So when I read that, I thought that's really interesting. And when they talk about how they were dead, how they were killed, I'm sorry, some were beheaded, some were speared to death, some were stoned, some were crucified upside down. So there were some really interesting, unique ways of killing, and that's important to the thriller genre. So that actually was the thing that motivated the entire story. Before I knew what my characters were going to be, before I knew who the protagonists were, so before Quincy and Fee, I came up with the concept of having a modern-day serial killer killing falling priests in the same fashion as the murdered apostle. So it started based on the Bible. And I don't consider myself to be a religious person. I consider myself to be more spiritual. So I didn't want to do a preachy type thing. But I thought, the Bible is it's the greatest story ever told. So it's a great source. So in going there, then I made it a parable, very much like the old biblical stories. So there are a lot of metaphors in in the first book, Laws of Depravity. You have Quincy, Fee, and then they're joined by an FBI agent named Janet Macklin. And this interesting thing that I view these things as basically a dark version of The Wizard of Oz, because you have these three characters in search of the wizard, and in this case, the wizard is a serial killer. And in their journey, they have to deal with all of the voids in their own lives. One has no love. One has no faith. So this case makes them confront all of their emotional and spiritual deficiencies. So as they're getting closer, each case is just, really each step is really confront that. So that's the spiritual basis. So once I established that as a part of my style, then I wanted to continue that with the next book. And in the next book, it deals with, I think it raises some interesting questions about intellectualism versus spirituality, and the smarter man comes as he becomes more independent of God. And we just take it to a heightened level where, and I don't want to give anything away, but, when we talk about the religious practices of the bad guys, or the bad guys in this piece, it really is a metaphor for man's increasing independence of God, and their reliance more on who they are, and so that became a really cool metaphor. And then it's also a matter of where does one's spirituality lead them, and in Fee's case, does it lead to revenge or does it lead to forgiveness? So I think that thrillers have been lacking a certain deeper content. You kind of read it, it's about someone that's killing someone, and the cop is going to catch him, and that's pretty much it. And in my books, I wanted to explore this thing that goes deeper to make people think longer about it, and it's working because I think that's why people are so attached to the characters and they're so attached to the piece, because they walk away thinking about it, and it's not just this frivolous piece where it's entertaining, it's fast-paced, it has all of those things, but it also has a deeper quality to it that really makes you think, and that's important, and it makes you debate spiritual questions, and that's important to me.
I will say Dr. Z is a very interesting character. Hope she's not listening, but you must have had to dig deep to create her. And what kind of research? I can't imagine that was her point of view was any part of your coming up.
I think I lost you for a minute.
Okay. I was just asking, how did you come up with...
No, I'm saying I think I lost your picture. I lost the video on you.
Okay,
I can hear
we
you.
can still see you, and we can still hear you.
All right, there we go. Okay, we're back.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What about Dr. Z?
Well, again, I don't want to give away too much, but Dr. Z for me just really became this this sort of compilation of interesting characters, very surprising characters, and from the opening chapter, you think she's one way, and then all of a sudden you realize, and she's something else, and that keeps the readers on the edge of their seat. That way they keep, she's not predictable. I love the fact that I think the key for thrillers to really work, I think the protagonist has to be as smart as the antagonist. And I think the antagonist has to be as smart as the protagonist. And I think that those make for better battles. But if one is so superior to the other, it just feels imbalanced. And so Quincy and Fee are really smart cops, and Macklin is a smart FBI agent. And it takes the three of them to catch the brilliant killers. Like from Laws of Depravity, Degler was brilliant. He was brilliant. And Zivik is absolutely brilliant. So it takes a smart person to catch a smart person, and it takes a smart person to escape capture from a smart person. So you have that tight tension. So that was really, really important.
Yeah, that's I like that. I like that attention. If you guys are just tuning in, or you just came from out under a rock, we're talking to Eriq La Salle about his new book, Laws of Wrath. If you'd like to see win one, I will give it to you personally. Go in the Facebook feed, put pound Laws of Wrath. Go into your Twitter feed, put pounds Laws of Wrath. Go into your Pinterest or your Instagram, take a photo of yourself screaming at the scary part, and put pound Laws of Wrath, and you can win it. We want you to participate, have some fun this summer, and I'm going to turn the questions over to Francina. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm listening and getting all psyched.
Okay. I thought you
I do have a question, but I do, but I'm actually enjoying listening to Mr. La Salle, just getting a little bit more behind his passion and the energy that flows for him to do what he's doing. So even though I have some planned questions, I was either going to hold them off for a little bit. But actually, since I do have the floor, actually, Eriq, you were talking earlier when you were talking with Dr. Letitia about the franchise, and how definitely if one of your books is going to move to film, you're definitely going to be the head of that whole enterprise. So that led me just to thinking about the power of business and the power of business intelligence and entrepreneurship in this industry, as you called it earlier, of storytelling. And I guess maybe this is more of a comment, but I'm just really happy to hear you kind of as an artist, I guess, because some artists don't get the entrepreneurial piece too much.
Right.
And and a lot of times their brands are hijacked or stolen, or I mean, their brands can be hijacked from that. So if you can, maybe there's other art, even people that were in the industry who are thinking about doing a book themselves, but the importance of that entrepreneurial know-how, the entrepreneurial intelligence in this new 21st century art form. Can you speak a little bit to that, and the reason all of us need to be aware of that today?
Well, I mean, I think it's really simple. I think that the technology is empowering the artists right now. People are shooting films on iPhones now. Obviously, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you needed more money. When I first started shooting films, I shot on film. And then, of course, video came along and made it even, less expensive. But technology keeps making things more doable. I think the problem with that is you get a wave of incompetence and a wave of mediocrity. So I think you take the technology that's at your disposal, but I think you keep the standard as high as possible, so that, I mean, with books, whether you self-publish, now, in the beginning, when people started first self-publishing, they had to publish, I think they had to print something like, I don't know, like 1,000 or 10,000 books, something crazy. And most of those books ended up, of course, in people's garages, but that was those were the printing rules back then. So now, if you want to, you can print one book. You can write a book of poetry to your lover and just present it to them on Valentine's Day, and that's it. You can control things more, but you have to have, I think, the standard of the industry. And what I mean by that is, you want your editing to be on par with a traditionally published book. You want your book cover to look that way. So this is a part of your brand. And as you're creating brand, your brand is classy. When people say my name, I want it to be associated with something that's outside of the box, but high quality. That's not to say that they're going to like everything I do, or that they're going to like a lot of it. Maybe they'll dislike a lot, but at the same time, what they can say is, I might not have liked it, but it looked good, it was interesting, it was professional, it wasn't some tacky thing that was just thrown together, it wasn't a raggedy book that had a lot of, that the grammar was incorrect, no editor. I mean, all books have mistakes. I'm not saying it's ever going to be perfect, but what I'm saying is the standard of the quality is something that you do control. And so with that, I think, it's really about ownership. It's really about, particularly for minorities, I think for women and people of color, and actually in all artists, but particularly because I think that group is usually a little lower on the totem pole. But self-empowerment to me is not black or white. It's artist. And so I speak to that first, but I also, as an African American, an African American artist, I also know that art placement is a lot of times, not as valued, so we start a little lower. So understanding that, I encourage them to do it even more by owning your brand, by creating a brand, because out of all of the opportunities that we have now, we have, when I was a kid, there were 3 networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. Then somewhere along the way, Fox came into play. You had 4 networks. Now you have a gazillion networks. You have Netflix. You have, Google's doing. Everybody's doing their own. Amazon. Everybody's doing their own. People can watch TV or watch movies on their phones, etc. So you have all these choices, but the one thing that does not change, and this is the thing that the artist really needs to understand. All of these things have one thing in common. They all need content.
Amen.
So no matter how many channels are developed and created, no matter how many movie studios are added, no matter what, they all need the same thing. They all need something to show, which is content. The person that controls content controls their own destiny more. So if you have a library of content, I'm creating a franchise. I'm not creating, it was very important for me that this was not just a one-off, that this book, it wasn't just one book. I'm creating a franchise. I happen to like the J.K. Rowling's novel. I like what she did. I like her story. I like the fact that she was a struggling, single mom who, put together this multi-billion-dollar franchise. Multi-billion-dollar franchise came from a single mother who was desperately poor and struggling. And so all of the people that are currently depressed with their situations and not happy with their jobs, there's a sense of empowerment. When you read those type of stories, there's a sense of empowerment. And so I like that model. I like what she did, and we haven't seen an African American do that. I think that Berry Gordy did it with music, and you've had people in the music industry do it more. But you really haven't had someone to really own these type of franchises, someone who has written a franchise, who directs a franchise, who produces that franchise, and that's something that I'm trying to do, and I want that to be an example, because we are living in very opportune times. If the artist is willing to work hard, but more importantly, if the artist is willing to always strive for a level of excellence, when you don't have a committee telling you work harder, you don't have, you're going outside the box. And so when I first sent out Laws of Depravity, I was turned down by every publishing firm there was. We went out with it 3 times, and it was turned down each time for various reasons. And I said, you know what? I believe in this, and I think that I have a product that people are hungry for, and it's all about supply and demand. So if you believe that a certain flavor is missing, a certain flavor of Kool-Aid is missing, and you know that people would actually like
that's right
this type of Kool-Aid, it is up to you to go and make the best version of that Kool-Aid. And I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care if they say, oh, no one will ever drink that Kool-Aid. That's ridiculous. That will never sell. If you talk to people and they start, you know what? I'm tired of all the same flavors of Kool-Aid. I want something a little different. So I believed, and still do, that there is an appetite for my flavor of Kool-Aid. And regardless to what the big publishing firms told me, I held true to that belief, and I have a lot of people loving this book, very passionate about these books, and waiting for, anticipating the next one and all of that. And that's what else could, and then, on top of that, we had major validation when James Patterson, who is the godfather of the thriller genre, who has sold over 350 million books and still going strong. When he contacted us, they reached out and said, James Patterson is offering a blurb, and he read your book, and he wrote, Eriq La Salle's Laws of Wrath is all thriller, no filler, a white knuckle treat. Now, the interesting thing about that is this. I didn't go to the publishers for my second book. I didn't even put it out there because Laws of Depravity was so, it answered my questions. Laws of Depravity was so well received, highly acclaimed, amazing reviews. I got like a 5-star Kirkus review, which most traditionally published books don't get. So I got high praise for it. So once I saw that, I'm like, well, do I really need to go this route? So for the second book, I go, this is my vision. I don't want to give up any control of it. So I just did it on my own. So people forget, because the book is done so professionally, and there's a lot of attention to detail, not just in content, but in the aesthetics of the book. So it's competing with all these other traditionally published books. That's important to me. So when James Patterson offered that quote, it was a form of validation to the industry of saying, hey, people not only do the readers, which is to me the most important thing, whether James Patterson said it or anyone else, if I have a bunch of readers, which I do, that are loving my Kool-Aid, I'm going to keep making that Kool-Aid. It's that simple. It really is that simple. But now, yes, it does help when you have a master chef, someone who has a lot of experience and a lot of success. It does help when that master chef tastes that Kool-Aid and says, this concoction is exquisite. That helps. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So those are the things that I think people need to understand about the potential that they have of power, of creating power. That the power is really in your hands, whether you are male, female, black, white, green, whatever your subject matter is. Just do the best. Just be original in your voice, but be persistent in your striving for excellence. So even though I don't have a big publishing firm telling me what to do, I've surrounded myself with opinions of people that I really respect, who can tear me apart and tell me to go back. It's not good enough to go back. So I have that to bounce it off. So by the time you guys get the books, they've been through a lot, and I've been through a lot with them. And I feel that they're at the best level that they can be at that point. With each book, I hope to grow more and more. You know what I mean? So maybe by the time I'm on my 4th book, I'm like, wow, I can see the growth, and because each time out I do, I feel it. And so that's my responsibility as an artist, is to keep growing. But this is really all conceived for self-empowerment, so that I control my own fate as an artist. And I don't have to wait for someone to say, hey, can you come in and, we validate you to do this. Being an actor is a very reactionary profession. You wait for your agent. You react to your agent calling you and telling you you have an audition. You have a meeting. It's very reactionary. Being a writer is so proactive. You can write. You don't need anyone's permission to write. If you work 12 hours a day, guess what? If you really want it badly enough, when you get home, you're going to still stay up for 3 hours and write and get it in, or you're going to get up early at 4 o'clock before you start your other job, and you're going to do it. So writing, people don't control you in doing that, whereas with a lot of other disciplines of art, it is controlled. So
That's
Awesome.
Everybody is loving that Kool-Aid analogy, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Culturally,
Oh, yeah.
they're in there saying in our Facebook group saying, I'm going to make the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to just drink the Kool-Aid.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's your writing style when you are actually writing? Some people are very methodical and they write for exactly so many times a day, but you have other projects and film projects going on. So what kind of scheduling, and talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'm too young an author to really say that I have a set style. I get it in when I can. It depends on what I have going on. With Laws of Depravity, my first book, I had 3 free months where it was just that, and I would get up sometimes, not all the time, but I would get up on my better days at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I would write for a good 3 hours, and I would get a lot in. I'd go to the gym, I'd come back, and then I would continue writing. I would do maybe 12 to 14 hours when I was really feeling it. I mean, so I've written for 16 hours. It depends. That doesn't happen a lot. I don't want to misrepresent myself. But it depends. And so, like I get it when I can. And now my directing schedule is very, very full. And I need to figure out when I'm going to be able to squeeze in writing, because when I'm directing, it's very difficult to do anything else because of not just the time restraints, but the energy required to direct for me. And so by the time I get home, I'm just wiped out, and I have to be fresh to be a leader the next day. So I don't want one to compromise the other. So I'm still trying to figure out. So I have a feeling by the time I get into my next book, it's going to be very different than the first two as far as how I approach it.
Okay. Well, a lot of people have put in their bids. We were doing this with the last book, asking you which actors you thought would be which characters and what they kind of looked like. And you hadn't really committed to anything, but I still kind of see like Jaleel White for Fee. I don't know. That's my mind, but you look at you.
Jaleel White?
Yeah. The no. Okay. So
Urkel?
You're saying Urkel for Fee?
No. The guy that played, he's very muscular.
Jaleel White is not muscular.
Okay, that's the wrong name. That's the wrong name.
That is very, you just said Urkel for Fee. There are a lot of women angry with you right now.
Okay, well, hey, I gotta make somebody pissed off. Might as well throw that in there.
There are a lot of women right now angry with you for saying Urkel for Fee. Yeah, very passionate about Fee. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's Urkel being Stefan. You know, but we got to have a Tyrese in there.
He's a player, so he's big. Okay, so
what about Denzel? Okay. You got to have Denzel in there somewhere.
Well, this is I know exactly. Not only do I know who I would like to play roles, but I also write the books, and this is something that might be different. I write the books based on the actors that I have in mind. Now, having said that, I won't share publicly with you guys because I want the reader to always be able to envision who they want to envision. And I don't want to dictate to you, because sometimes when you tell a person, this is who I have in mind, they have someone so opposite, like Urkel, and Jaleel's a friend of mine, but Jaleel is not Fee, okay? So I don't know where you got that one from. But you know what? At the end of the day, and I know you said that that's not who you were thinking about, but at the end of the day, that is your right to see whoever you see in that role. And I never want to take that away. What I would like to do is, of course, when we're ready to make it a film, that we, put it out. But I already know who I have in mind for my main characters.
That's awesome. But when you get to shooting the crowd scenes, call us. We'll be the rowdy people trying to look over the and we're available for that. I'll tell you that right now. So
okay. And I'll do that.
Non-walk-on roles. All right. Let's look into the Facebook group. I just want to make sure that we cover their questions. Keisha Pitt says she loves your analogy, the Kool-Aid analogy. Let's see what else. Melanie says, make the best version of the Kool-Aid. Eric, I love it. So people really got what you were saying. Let's see what else. Great and priceless wisdom and motivation to pass through to finish my books. Thank you so much, Eric, for your energy and for sharing your journey. That comes from Toy Parker. And the comedian Miss Woody said, most people said my story is crazy, so I titled it Certified Crazy. So Arlene Spann, she is known as our well-loved woman. She is just saying that she really appreciated what you shared about the industry of storytelling. She says it's a great nugget that you shared, and about content and owning our content and owning our own voice. So everybody's really appreciating, what you have to say about it. And Dr. Z hit me up on Twitter. She is watching and listening. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but she is watching or listening. I will leave it up to our panel. Do you guys have any more questions for Eric before he signs off?
Yeah, I probably. This is Jose. So in your work, what, although it's fiction, what elements from your identity or for your background are sprinkled in there? You tell me that's very layered, it's very deep. Of course, when you write and it's something that you pour yourself into, what do you think are the little tidbits that can indicate, hey, that's Eric? If you were to read.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not a serial killer.
Good to know.
Gosh.
I would say Fee has some very interesting views on religion and spirituality, and they are very, very close to mine. And his whole thing is he really could care less what title you put on religion. It's just really about how you treat people. And he's great friends with people from all denominations, and he really could care less. And that's how I try to live my life. So I wanted that represented in a book that some people had some very definitive religious point of views. I also have again, not to the level of being a serial killer, but I do have a distaste for religious hypocrites. I particularly people in power, because I think it's very damaging. I think it's extremely damaging. Go be who you want to be, within reason, as long as it doesn't harm anyone else or hurt anyone. But go be. But when you're just a straight up hypocrite and you're standing and using God's name to promote that hypocrisy, again, I'm not a serial killer, but that's a turnoff. That's a major turnoff. So from that point of view, and Laws of Depravity, Quincy has some very, very interesting views on relationships. And so by the time he meets Elena, his definitions of relationships are challenged, are fed, are confirmed, are and it really, and I love in Laws of Depravity. I love the love story part of it as much as the more fast-paced crime part of it. But there's a really beautiful love story in Laws of Depravity that really touched me, and really sort of because it represents some of my ideals and some of my viewpoints. So I sprinkle it in with those types of nuggets. And Brenda, who is Fee's woman, is such a fascinating character for me, and she's so ride or die. She's smart, she's versatile, she's that woman that you could see putting on a baseball cap and some jeans, and hanging with the boys and hanging with someone like Fee, and going home and then dressing up and just like making everyone's mouth just fall on the floor, because she's just versatile. And I love women that have that type of versatility. They're not too prissy. They're not, they can hang with royalty, and they can hang with beggars, and that's very sexy to me. So I created a character that I thought was sexy. So so there's those are the types of things that I sprinkle throughout just my point of view of those types of
That's fantastic. So do you think each of those attributes would be linking to you as an adolescent, early adulthood, and later? Like, do you think would that correlate in a linear fashion, you think, or do you think it was just a component of your complete self at any given time?
I think it's a component, and I try to get out of the way of the character. I don't want to get in the way even though I'm creating these characters, and I don't want to sound schizophrenic here, but even though I'm creating these characters, at some point they just start breathing on their own, and they just start telling you what their point of view is. And that point of view may be similar to mine, and it may be very different from mine. And I love all of that. I love being able to. There's something that's very, very deep about Laws of Depravity. You basically have people, you have a main character who doesn't believe in God. And I have a very strong connection to God. I definitely am a believer. But it gave me an opportunity in writing a character who didn't believe in God to explore all of the opposite opinions that I have. And the great thing about that is it only confirms my faith. It doesn't, I can go and really play a character or create a character who is really anti-God, just completely anti-God. That doesn't compromise me. That strengthens me and says, I walk away from this believing even more after exploring this opposite. And I think this: if you really believe in something, no matter what anyone tells you, it's not going to change. So my name is Eriq, and I don't care who you are. If you tell me my name is Paul, I'm not threatened by that because my name is not Paul, and and so I believe in God. So no matter what you tell me, I'm good with that, and so it actually allows me to be even stronger in the sense that let me hear the other side. You know what I mean? It's just like when I watch a political debate, I think sometimes you just say, oh, one person is Democratic, one person is Republican, one person is this one. Like sometimes, like, does that mean I have to agree with everything the Democrat says? Do I have to agree with everything the Republican says if I'm claiming that? No, it's just like, look, I know what I believe, and I can go to the other side and still come out and say I'm still this. That doesn't mean I agree with everything. So that's that's something that I do believe is important for all of us because it does confirm our individual beliefs. And if you really believe strongly, you're not afraid of having it tested. So if someone comes and says, well, I don't believe in God, okay, fine. I'm not threatened by you. I do. I'm not going to shove my beliefs down your throat, but I'm just telling you what works for me. And even to the point was, well, prove God exists. I don't need to prove God exists. I know in my heart, I feel in my heart God exists. So I don't need to convert you and say, this. So I think I have characters that represent the spectrum of believers and non-believers and cynics and saints and sinners and all of that. And I learn from all of them. And it makes me a more rounded person.
Thank you. Great.
Wow.
Francina, I thought you had a question.
Oh, I was just having a church moment. That's
That
all.
was amazing.
No, I mean, yeah, I need to get the whole church to read this book.
Wow.
It might help you learn something. But these are real people.
And I want to say something.
You might need to do that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I want to say something about that. When I first wrote Laws of Depravity, because basically you have a serial killer who's killing priests and killing people of the cloth. And so I thought it was going to be extremely controversial. And so the first thing I did was the church that I was going to at the time, I gave it to the pastor. And I said, and he was a very progressive pastor. And I said, what do you think of this? And he came back, he said, man, I love this. He said, I absolutely, because he wasn't being religious at the time. He was, and the difference between religious, like, oh my God, you can't. And I've also had people to say, someone told one of my family members, he's a very religious person, and and he told a relative, oh, Eriq has to really watch how he writes stuff because it's very edgy, and I'm like, listen, this is the voice that God gave me, and I don't think God is sitting up saying you can't express yourself this way. That's what man does. Man says you have to worship the way I worship. You have to believe the way I believe. You have to express the way. Otherwise, you're wrong. And that's what religion does. And that's what religiosity does. That's religion. And I deplore that. And so nobody can tell you, listen, if you're trying to do something positive, nobody can tell you that that's invalid because you're not doing it the way they do it. So when I wrote the first book and I gave it to my pastor, and I gave it to a couple of people. I gave it to a couple of pastors, and they both signed off on it. And it's edgy. I mean, like I said, there are people, a lot of people killing, the languages, their sexuality. But again, I don't think, my opinion, God is cool with that. We have, and my God is, let me put it this way, my God is cool with that. And, and my God is, it was cool with us expressing ourselves in a creative way. I think other people's gods may have problems with it. So, but that was important to get that validation from two pastors that I respected, and they just thought it was some great talking points to be said in the book. And when people get beyond the blood or the killing or the whatever, and they really understand what the book is saying, then it's like, wow. I had someone that I know who handed the first book out as spiritual books. He found so much spirituality in the book that he handed them out as, and some people were like, oh my God, this is, edgy and this is that. But then when they got into it, they're like, I see, I get it now. So I'm proud of them.
Awesome.
Well,
there's more I would say, but I don't need to. We don't have enough time. It's all good. I'll be saying more on Twitter. There's a whole nother level there.
Talking about after this. If you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about Eriq's new book called Laws of Wrath. Laws of Wrath. So go to Amazon and get Laws of Wrath, and get Laws of Depravity too while you're there. But it's our fun summer read. I'll probably be talking about this for months and months. I really enjoy your writing, Eriq. You made me go get a dictionary.
I'm loving his intelligence, and I'm loving it. It's sexy.
I'm old school, my parents were, you don't understand a word, you go get the dictionary and you come back to it immediately. So I won't tell anybody what page that was on, but he made me go get the dictionary. So it is scary stuff, it's educational. You will expand your vocabulary if you read Laws of Wrath. And I do like his female characters. I do like that Brenda is not just a shallow sidekick, that she's really, really smart, and she's really, really thought through her relationship with Fee in terms of where she is.
Right.
And everybody has a perception because, you only know your side of it, but, we can see clearly where she is. It's not vague, and I really like that, and that's one of the things. When I interviewed you about the last book, I said I really enjoy your female characters, that they're strong, that they're well thought through, and they're not just, thrown in there to hang on somebody's arm or answer a question, every now and then. So that is the fun part. The Facebook group is really loving your advice and really appreciating that. Arlene Spence says, Eriq, this is great stuff. Keisha Pitt says, wow, get out of your own way when creating your fictional characters. That's deep and great advice for you fictional writers in the group. And, Toy, I think I said this before, but she said priceless wisdom and motivation. So I really appreciate you, hanging out. I'm enjoying the book. I'm reading it on Kindle, so it's hard for me to track, where I am page-wise, but I'm about 25% in.
Okay.
And I'm sort of savoring it. I am a very voracious reader, but I'm sort of like, I'm going to read a couple of pages and then think about it, and then I read a couple of more pages. So I'm not burning through it like my normal reading. But it's my summer fun, and I really appreciate you coming out. So last call for any questions that you guys have. Again, Laws of Wrath is ready now. So if the career engineer has a question, go ahead.
But this is actually one, because he just intrigued me in so many ways tonight, which is, this is a family-friendly show, so I'm not going to even go there. But the question is, in terms of the book, I know folks can get on Amazon and things of that nature, but are you making, I'm here in the Pharrell Happy City, I'm in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Are you planning any book tours or things of that nature for folks outside of California who might get to see you and things of that nature, or how do we find out about your personal appearances unplugged?
Well, if you go to my website, IamEriqLaSalle.com, and of course that's ERIQ, it has everything. It has all the information about the books. It has the book trailers. It has free chapters so people can sample them and decide if it's something that they like. It also has all appearances. It has how easy it is to get the book with Barnes and Noble, Amazon, wherever you want to get it. Basically, we make it one-stop shopping. So it's so I would say that the best way to find out, because a lot of these things pop up. I'm going to be in Baltimore at a book festival. I think I'm going to Houston. I have to schedule all of these things around my directing schedule.
Right.
So, but I know I'm going to be in New York the month of August, and we're trying to set up a big book signing event with different book clubs So we're trying to do that in Harlem. So if you keep in touch with this site, you can get updates. So basically, I'm kind of wherever I go. I did a book signing. I was directing Under the Dome in North Carolina 2 weeks ago, and I did a book signing in North Carolina. And I just did one. I was in Vegas at a librarians convention yesterday, and then we came back here and had a big book signing here in Los Angeles. So these things it depends on, like, can I slide one in with the schedule? But if you periodically check the website, you'll get all updates, and you'll see if I'm coming to a place near you. And if people have organizations that they say, hey, listen, this is a great organization, and we want you to come in, and some people, there's some organizations they're like, fine, we'll fly you in, we'll put you up, whatever. We're working with a little bit of everything. So if people say this is, you just want to make it worth it in the sense that, you're not going somewhere near 4 people, so depending on the history of a place and the group, you want to make sure that it's a legitimate thing, and it's something cool. You're not coming over to Uncle Snooky's house and downstairs eating a can of tuna and let him, but if it's legit, yeah.
Hey, you got to put it out there. Well, I love that you're directing Under the Dome. Stephen King is also one of my favorites, and I read Under the Dome. It was so thick, when I walked through the airport, people would stop me and ask me what I was reading. I think they thought it was War and Peace, but I was like, oh, it's Stephen King, Under the Dome. So,
Wow.
So I just want you to know I'm enjoying Under the Dome, because I was reading that before it was, before it was a film. So you're doing all my favorite stuff. So you're on my mind a lot. But I appreciate you coming out. If you guys want to book him and you have a legitimate, I'll put it out there, a legitimate book club, that means you need to have 30, 40, 50 people there, then it's possible to book him. His schedule's really heavy right now. He's directing all my favorite movies and stuff, so he doesn't have that much time. But, get the books, encourage your group to read it, have fun, and connect on IamEriqLaSalle.com. That's where you can find his Twitter account. You can find Facebook. You can get on the email list. You can be updated so that when he comes to your town or he is available, he is there for you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you hanging out. I know you're super, super busy. But this was just really fun for me. And I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. This was my first one, so this was great. So thank you for my loss of virginity on the Google Hangout.
Thank you.
You guys were great with it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
All
right.
We're going to make the replay available. So you guys, thank you so much. Remember what I always say: ignoring one's conscience is neither safe nor right. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.